So you get that loan. The 3 tenants, let's say you got a quadplex. Your 3 tenants are paying your rent and they're paying your bills. And you probably have a little bit left over. And after a year, you move out and you rent that 4th unit and you go and you do it again.
Hello, everyone. We're Jacqueline and Melvin Landry, and we welcome you to our podcast, Get Diversified. Throughout these series, we'll cover all the topics and questions you have about investing in apartment buildings, storage facilities, and mobile home parks. Being knowledgeable in these areas will help you feel more comfortable about investing. Apartment investing equals building wealth. Building wealth equals financial freedom. Achieving financial freedom allows you to spend your time with building memories with your loved ones. Let's face it, time is the one element in life that is limited, and you don't want to waste it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Diversified. I'm your host, Melvin Landry, and today we have a dandy, folks. We have our guest here, Dr. Ronnie Shalev. Dr. Ronnie, welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Melvin.
Good. Well, folks, one thing is certain. Proximity is power. Dr. Ronnie and I are in numerous groups together, and I've got a chance to meet her and hear about her journey. And you know what? I'm looking forward to sharing that journey and having her speak to you all about the progressions in real estate as well as alternative investments, and looking forward to the show. So, Dr. Ronnie, I want to thank you for being a guest, and we're happy to have you. And let's kick things off. I want you to tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and what's your superpower?
Yeah. So who am I? I am a lot of words. I've actually asked myself that a lot recently, and I'm surprised at how much it's evolved. It used to be I'm an emergency room doctor. Okay. Now I can say I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm an investor, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm still an emergency room doctor at heart.
Okay.
I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. So there's so many ways that I can describe myself. And it's really been the evolution of my being that has been exciting since probably over the last 5 years.
So you're in essence, you have gotten diversified and continuing the journey. Am I correct?
Absolutely. You know, I started off as a board certified ER doctor, going into the hospital, working shifts, working nights, working weekends. And there was a night where it was 10 o'clock at night and the waiting room was packed.
Okay.
Every door, every ER room was full.
Okay.
I was taking care of a patient with trouble breathing from asthma.
Okay.
Really severe. 2 people that were having a stroke at the exact same time. Someone that was having a heart attack at the exact same time.
Wow.
And the ambulances kept coming with more stuff. And then the people in the waiting room, they were handing me things, and the nurse handed me another EKG with another person having a heart attack at the exact same time. That's when I was like, oh my God, when is my relief coming? When's the next doctor coming? I looked up at that clock, 8 hours. You see, I was alone taking care of all these patients, because the hospital administrators decided that their bottom line was more important than patient safety, patient care, doctor well-being, any of that. So I did what I was always doing. Put my head down and I took care of everybody. No one died. I saved everyone's life. But I didn't eat. I didn't sit. I didn't drink. I came home, collapsed on the bed, still wearing my scrubs, slept all day. My kids are like, wake up, let's go to the park, let's go do, and I'm like, I can't move. My body feels like it's hit by a truck. And then I said to myself, is this it? Is this my life? Like, this is what I've spent 20 years to become? This is how I've made it. Like, I don't feel healthy. The stress is unbelievable. But what else can I do? I didn't know how to do anything else. I was under the mindset of you work, you pay off your house, you own your car, you put away in your 401k, and you're going to be fine. You can retire. You'll be fine. But honestly, I didn't know if I was going to make it to 65.
Yeah.
And that's when I started saying, like, is there something else? Like, what else is there? I see people making money. Like, how do I get in that club? What are they doing?
Yeah.
I know I'm just as smart as them. So it's not about that.
Yeah. Wow. So at that juncture, you realize, kind of, was that the breaking point for you? Like, enough is enough. I got to change, and I got to change fast. Was that it for you?
No, unfortunately, I stayed in that for another 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
In that grind, just doing it over and over again, putting myself back together. I tried to, like, okay, I'll recover. I'll take another vacation or something like that. I was making a great living, but slowly I felt like my health was deteriorating. I felt like I wasn't present with my family. And I said, you know what? I gotta find something. And that's when we were introduced into the world of real estate syndications. Mm-hmm. We had a friend that came to us and said, hey, I own a piece of 100 7-Elevens and I get passive income. And I said, that sounds fishy. What is that? What's passive income? There's no such thing. How do you own a piece of something? That doesn't make any sense. But my husband's like, do you want to try it? I mean, he's like, what's our alternative? It's either to stay how things are, where I'm, handcuffed to my job, where if I'm not seeing patients, if I'm not going into the hospital, seeing patients, working, I'm not making any money. That was the one reality. And the other reality was figuring out an alternative. And that's when we were like, okay, well, let's dip our toe in. And so we dipped our toe in. This was a triple net lease for an auto zone, actually, which I still own today.
Good. Okay.
And after like 6 weeks after close, they refinanced and I got all my money back. And I still own it. And I'm like, that's weird. What just happened?
Yeah.
We have our investment back. Like, what do we do with this now? It was supposed to be locked away. So we're like, oh, well, I guess we can take that and invest it in the next deal. And we basically just kept investing and investing and investing. And we invested in triple nets, industrial warehouse, retail, assisted living, mobile homes, RV parks, apartments, self-storage. I mean, we have done it all. And really, we diversified. And eventually I was able to leave my job with the courage to say, you know what, there's money out there that's to be made and I don't have to do this anymore.
Fantastic story. You've the epitome. You've gotten diversified. You've stayed the course, and it allowed you to quit your job, which in the medical profession, right? That's, you're a high earner. So you're on the bigger and brighter pasture. So when we talk to the listeners about the collaboration with your spouse, right? In terms of, his alignment with you, was he on board? Was he pushing you to kind of get to that point? Because a lot of folks collaboratively, right? One spouse could be on one page, one spouse could be on the other page. I know for a fact in our household, it took one event for my wife Jackie to get that aha moment. Just like, let's go. And we've been sprinting down the track ever since. Want to share the journey of how you and Ben kind of aligned to kind of take that road and start running down the track like we did, like similar to on our story?
Absolutely. So, so my husband is a way bigger risk taker than I am.
Okay.
And, so he was always open to investing outside of the stock market. And he would always push me, and let's invest in this, and let's invest in this, and let's start this business. And because he grew up in an entrepreneur household. So, and he is so creative and has the guts. And I grew up and I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to have a salary. I'm going to have security. I'm going to have a job. So we started completely on separate, like, away. And he has slowly been chipping away at me, like, you know, and helping me come around.
It's a good
He's
thing.
really helped me come around. Absolutely. I mean, he was like, when I was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, you're an hourly worker. And I was like, oh, how could you say that? And he's like, you are.
I could hear him saying it. I could hear him. Yeah.
You're an hourly worker. I'm like, I am an hourly worker. It didn't like dawn on me. He's like, you're just an hourly worker. You need to figure out how to make money when you're not there. I was like, so you can't do it in what I'm doing. And he's like, but there's so many things out there. There's this, there's that. And so we've always been diversified. We invested in pre-IPO biotech. We invested in a lot of startups. We've done angel investing. And then I was like, well, God, I really want some stability. I feel like real estate is real assets. And so that's when we kind of took a pivot, and I started looking for opportunities, and he's looking for opportunities, and we kind of aligned. When we started niching down and syndicating for apartments, that was me dragging him. That was me. I was like, okay, now let's do this. I think this is a great future for us. And so he came along, and we started Shalwin Properties together. And we're a really good team. He's got 20 years of construction experience. And so he also has deal structure and finance and accounting and bookkeeping. So he is finding the deals. He has the relationships with the brokers. He does the business plan. He manages the CapEx. He is great at being efficient and doing, figuring out ways to save money. And I'm really great at, asset managing and investor relations and property advertising and figuring out the problem with whatever's going on and trying to problem solve it. So we really kind of work well together. And it's been a lot of fun, for sure.
Okay, good. A lot of folks say, right, I can't work with my spouse. I know you and Ben work together. I love working with my wife, right? I'm upstairs. She's downstairs. We text each other during the day, and we try to be as efficient as possible, right? She's in the underwriting. I'm in the kind of finding deals, talking to folks, and trying to be the spokesperson for more land. So, hey, they say teamwork makes the dream work. So that's good to hear. It's fantastic that it's working very well for you, because, some folks, it doesn't. So for whatever that's worth, but, well, great. Well, why don't you talk to the listeners about that very first multifamily deal you got into? If you want to share some specifics, how did it come about? Because there are a lot of folks out there, they don't know how to get started. They're trying to figure out how to get started. Maybe they're looking for a group or ecosystem to be a part of. So why don't you kind of share that initial journey so others can listen and kind of get some tips on, maybe I can take some tips out of Dr. Ronnie's book, maybe get started that way. So we'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So by the time we were doing multifamily, we had already invested in multiple different types of syndications.
Okay.
At that point, we'd already done retail. We've done self-storage. We had done industrial warehouse. We had done triple nets. So we had already understood the concept of leveraging other people, leveraging other people's knowledge, leveraging other people's expertise, leveraging other people's connections, leveraging other people to get the loan.
Yeah.
We had already done that. So we were like, well, why would we do apartments? Well, everybody needs a place to live. Mm-hmm. Everybody, if they're shopping online, they're doing it from their home. If they're working remote, they're doing it from their home. It's a basic need, and people can't afford their own house anymore. It's just the interest rates and the prices are hot, and people can't afford to buy. You have to, most American households don't have more than $1,000 of savings.
Kind of
And if
crazy,
you have
but it's
any
true.
medical debt or anything, how can you come up with a down payment? So I really wanted to be able to make an impact and create housing or offer housing to that demographic that's working, that wants a nice home. I can make their houses nicer. And how can I contribute? We started off as limited partners doing just that. We were leveraging other people's knowledge, but I became an owner. And so our first deal was in North Carolina.
Okay.
And it's actually our first multifamily deal was 4 years ago. And it's already gone full cycle.
Nice.
And yeah, they were able to go in. They had a business plan. They were going to renovate a certain amount of units, improve it, fix the deferred maintenance. It was run down, and they fixed a lot of the staircases and the paneling, and they improved it. They created a sense of community for the tenants, for the residents, and then they sold it. And I made over 20% a year for the short time that I held it. And I said,
Nice.
wow, this is really cool because you get to do good, you get to make an impact, and you get to make an impact with investors. Like they made money for me. How can I do that myself? And so I said, I don't know how to do that. I need mentorship. I need to learn how to do that. And there's actually a lot of groups out there. You don't have to do one group. There's a lot of groups out there. If you're looking for mentorship, it's there. And it's all at different price points. But it's easier to do it together, to learn. You'll get a lot farther, less mistakes, and less likely to lose other people's money if you have help and education. So that was our first deal. Yeah, we were very excited about it.
We get back to the notion, right? Teamwork makes what? The dream work at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
right? So you got in, the property sold, 20%. I mean, that was, I guess, average annual return a year. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's more than the stock market.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Know?
So, I mean, it was great. But, there wasn't cash flow. For 3 years, they gave me a little, very little. And I was like, okay, there's not a lot of cash flow. That's fine. But then they sold it and all of it came at the end. It was like, oh, this is nice.
So for the listeners out there, right, there's different variances of time in terms of where your money may pinpoint to kind of get back to you, whether you have solid cash flow and you're getting it back quarterly. In some cases, I'm in a syndication where I'm a general partner, I'm getting it monthly, right? Or if you get it at the end when you sell, real estate tends to appreciate. It tends to appreciate over time. And also, Dr. Ronnie, you want to speak to the notion of the depreciation and how to help you?
Oh, the depreciation was really tremendous. So I am a partner in a freestanding emergency room. So these are emergency rooms that are not connected to a hospital. And people come in and they get treated, and they're either admitted to the hospital where they're transferred with an ambulance, or they're discharged. But it's not attached to a hospital. So it's a concierge ER. So you're not sitting there with all kinds of homeless people and people getting shot, and it's a nicer place to go as a patient. Okay. But anyway, I had income coming in from that, and that was considered to be passive income. And when I started investing in apartments, I started getting depreciation. I started getting K1s that said minus 50,000, minus 90,000. And that was able to offset that other income, that other passive income. And I was able to save on taxes. Instead of paying the government, I took that money that I didn't pay the government and I put it into another investment.
There you go. Continue.
And that started getting money. And then, so it really starts to snowball And, the first couple of years, you're like, okay, when am I going to see something? But then when it starts snowballing, it's like, wow, okay, now I have this money. You need to put it somewhere. Money needs to be moved. You can't be passive. Creating wealth is not passive. So I can get the money back and I can put it in my savings account. And it's a waste. You got to put it in the next investment. And it just needs to keep growing and growing and growing. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
It's funny that you mentioned that growing, the compounding, right, of things. So, we went gangbusters last year. So we invested passively in 7 deals.
Wow,
and the goal
that's
is
amazing.
to try to, 3 to 5 a year while trying to be a lead sponsor on opportunity as well. So hefty goals, but I mean, you just go out and do it, right? From that standpoint, and it all starts with mindset. If your mindset is not where you need to be to take it to the next level, you will not get to the next level. And that's what I continue to emphasize. I continue to share on social media channels, and you're doing sort of the same, right? Kind of practice what you're preaching, and enjoy doing it. I love putting it out when I'm going view a building and kind of looking at it, doing the video in terms of opportunity, and success leave clues, right? At the end of the day. So for myself, right, going to an event, and watching some of the things you and your husband were doing, that inspired me to kind of go gangbusters in and like, we got to invest quickly, we got to ramp up. So, to kind of get to where we want to get to for the lifestyle that we want to live at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Man, fantastic story. So in essence, also, I believe, Ronnie, you're an author as well. Am I correct? You want to share some insights on that?
I am. I wrote Next Level Your Life.
Okay.
And here I am on the cover. So I'm very excited. It's a number one bestseller on Amazon. And I got to collaborate with Kyle Wilson, Robert Helms, Simon Bailey. These are all amazing entrepreneurs that shared their journey and like what made them step up. What was the pivot in their journey? And I was able to talk about my journey as an emergency room doctor and feeling trapped, not knowing that there's other things out there, and what made me decide to just open my mind. And it was pain. Pain in my job, right? There's other things that can open your mind, but my particular thing was pain. And I don't regret it because it's where I am today.
Wow. Fantastic story. So here's another question for you. There's a 20, 25-year-old just getting out of college. They're trying to figure out what to do, where to go. They want to diversify, but they know they don't have maybe that much capital to start. They're in a job. They're getting started with their life. What advice would you give to that 20 to 25-year-old post-college grad trying to figure it out and knowingly aware they need to get diversified? Any insights you want to share on that?
Absolutely. I think that the best way to do it is I would buy a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex, but those are more expensive, with an FHA loan. And it's only 3.5% down payment. So you don't have to come up with a huge down payment. You get tenants in the other 2 or 3 units, and you live in that unit, and you're required to live there for only 1 year. So you get that loan. The 3 tenant, let's say you got a quadplex, your 3 tenants are paying your rent and they're paying your bills. And you probably have a little bit left over. And after a year, you move out and you rent that 4th unit and you go and you do it again.
Do it again.
That is going to create so much wealth. And if you do that once a year, you're going to have 20 doors.
Pretty quickly.
Quickly. And you're not going to need to work anymore. You can just collect rent.
Leverage.
You can just collect.
Debt.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that is a huge, huge thing. Now, remember, you got to buy where you want to live. which will be good because other people will want to live there too.
Live there too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? That piece of advice that you gave, Dr. Ronnie, I wish I could have gave my 20 to 25-year-old self that same level of advice. Because I've lived in 8 different states now. So imagine if I would have done that in every state I lived in. And I was working multiple jobs, right? Hustling and on the grind. So, never too old, right? To get that knowledge and go gangbusters and kind of start investing to kind of live the life that you want to live. So fantastic advice. Hopefully the listeners are taking heeding to Dr. Ronnie's advice in terms of what you should do. Think multifamily, small, right? Leverage your debt. Don't view debt as a obstacle. View it as an opportunity. Right. And it takes a while to get your mindset to get to the place where you need to be to make that happen. So, I mean, you do that, right? If you do that once a year and you're 21.
Once a year.
Credit should be pretty good to start, right? Yeah. You go ahead, you do that 5-6 years, you're sitting pretty. And at some point, right, like maybe who needs a job? And that's a pretty damn good question to ask. At the
Absolutely.
End of the day. So, Dr. Ronnie, thinking about the future, right? Obviously, you've gotten diversified. You've taken action. You and your husband are on the same page. You guys are living a good life, and the best is yet to come, right? As we always say, right? For those who are in the game, and we're always trying to be great, right? Trying to build a legacy for those kids. I know you have young kids. I have a young little guy as well, and we want to kind of set the legacy up so their kids, and that's how you generationally build wealth, and it's a beautiful thing. So, what's next for you and Ben and the family? And I guess from an investment standpoint and kind of looking forward to the next 24 to 36 months, what does Dr. Ronnie have on the horizon? I know you're thinking about something over there in that lab. So.
We've started diversifying into oil and gas.
Okay.
So we bought mineral rights. We have several oil wells that we personally own, and we've invested in funds where people are drilling and searching and getting oil. So we've diversified into that space. I think our next step is to be buying businesses.
Okay.
And I think we're looking for cash flow. And right now, with the interest rates being so high, real estate doesn't have that much cash flow. But what does? There's a lot of different things that provide cash flow that are businesses. And we invested in a cargo ship business, maritime, where they're transporting commodities like coal and oil and things like that. So I'm an owner of that business. I'm probably going to invest in a car wash. Those are cash flowing. There's the crypto mining. So there's so many opportunities. I just invested in a private equity company that is a specialty coffee company. So I was able to do that. And, I'm doing a little bit of wholesale land. I'm wholesaling land. So I'm keeping busy, and it's it's interesting and exciting. And, there's challenges, but when are there not?
Yeah. So you're laser focused. Obviously, your spectrum of pillars of diversification is massive. And I think the listeners need to hear, right? There are alternatives to the so-called stock market that goes up and down. You have no control. Dr. Ronnie has already spoken to at least 12 different alternative investments that she's in. And she doesn't appear to be stopping anytime soon, folks. So if you want to get diversified, if you want to hear some different type ideas, you got to listen to this respective episode because she's laying it on the line. She's dropping dimes in terms of options. Having options are always a good thing, right? There's real estate, which is always good. We're both in it, but there's other alternative investments as well. Storage, land, right? She's in the businesses, right? She's investing. Her spectrum of investments is pretty macro, pretty big. So it's great to hear that. And it's great for listeners to kind of hear some of the other different facets too, right? Because you hear folks, a lot of folks can kind of just talk about real estate, but there's so much more out there that you can be doing. So from that perspective, deal. So, wow. Wow. So I guess last question. Here's a wild card question for you. So you specifically, what's the best piece of advice someone has ever given you that you've really taken to heart and you feel you have taken and ran with it to get to where you need to get to? Best piece of advice. Trick question, but it's a lightning round at the end. So,
I've gotten such good advice from people, but I think the biggest one is to be in the room. When you have be in the room. You have to be in the room to create opportunity. Opportunity doesn't just hit you like lightning. You have to make it happen. It has to be focus, strategy, and being in the room. And a lot of the opportunities that I've had are because I've put myself in the room. I'm in networking events. I'm joining groups where people are doing bigger and better things than me that I say, wow, like I've never heard of that. Right. And because I'm rubbing elbows and talking with these people and picking their brain and sharing challenges, and I am learning so much, and so many opportunities are coming across my desk because people want to collaborate with people that they know, like, trust. And they want to collaborate with people that are open-minded. And I've learned that when you're in the room, you're exposed to so many great things. So get in the room where you want to be.
folks, you heard it. You heard it from Dr. Ronnie. Get in the room by any means necessary. Get in the room, collaborate, network. Do what you need to do to get to the lifestyle and the success that you want to drive. Plain and simple. Fair enough?
Yes.
Folks, we'll close with that one, Dr. Ronnie. Well, folks, you've heard it. You've heard Dr. Ronnie exemplify her journey. Dr. Ronnie and her family, they're getting diversified. They're continuing to getting diversified, driving continuous improvement. And you know what? They're looking, and they're always looking for ways to kind of add value, continually build on where they are from a wealth building standpoint. And you know what? She's making a lot of headway. So, Dr. Ronnie, on behalf of myself, my wife, Jacqueline, the team at Moreland Equity Capital, we want to thank you for being a part of the show. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate. And for anybody that wants to reach out to me, you can find me on shalwinproperties.com, SHALWIN properties.com.
And we will add that to the show notes to make sure everyone can find you, Dr. Ronnie, and also get to know you and collaborate with you. And hopefully they can take some of those nuggets and get diversified.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.